So today we're going to do a painting for Valentine's Day. We've got a couple birds here, a beautiful background with a heart shape and a tree. So first what I'm going to use is I'm going to use my large paintbrush. I'm going to start with the background of my painting. I'm going to choose a large paintbrush and start with my yellow and a little bit of white to create this heart shape in the middle. So on my plate, I've just got a little bit of yellow. We've got Coco joining us today. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to just use a little yellow and white, and I'm going to make a heart shape on my canvas. Now this could be any size you want, but I want to make it fairly large because this is where the birds are going to sit. So I want to be able to have some space where the birds will really show up. So I want my heart large enough so that you can have room to put these birds in. We'll be able to see them. And Coco's joining us this morning, so I'm going to go actually a little bit bigger with this heart today. And it's got yellow and white in it. And after I've got my heart shape, you can see the heart goes into some other colors here. We've got like almost like a pink and an orangey color, and then there's some pink, and then there's a little bit of purple. So I'm going to add a little bit of pink to the paintbrush, and I haven't changed the water. I haven't washed my brush out, and all I'm going to do is draw another heart with that brush that still has the yellow on it, and it's got a little bit of pink. And what happens is the pink and the yellow kind of mix together and give you a peachy color. So I'm just going to make sure also I have enough paint on my paintbrush. I think Coco's going for a little walk here. We're just going to put her down here for a minute. And I'm going to just use a little bit of pink and yellow around the outside to create almost like a peachy color. I don't want to go too far in onto my heart because what'll happen is the heart will get smaller as I go into the middle. So I'm just going to try to keep my paint around this yellow. And as I go around, I'm going to continue to add, maybe this time is a little bit more pink. The stripes maybe just a little bit more pink than it was before. Maybe there's a little less yellow on my brush. So I'm going to go all the way to the outside. As I'm going around, it's getting a little bit darker. Picked up some white there, that's okay. I'm going to go around a little bit more. And as we go to the outside, you're going to get sort of a brighter pink color, and then there's some purple. So you could actually use some purple, or what I like to do is mix my own purple. So I'll take a little bit of a dark blue and some pink and mix it together to make that purple color. Now for this demonstration, I'm just going to work on the canvas, but if you're working from home, you might want to be doing the edges of your canvas as you go around. You want to do the sides, you can do that. So it looks like this as you go around, and you can complete the side. So, you can hang it up, or, just looks a little bit more professional when it's done. So I'm going to go all the way to the top. I'm not worried to have it too perfect here. And then I might add just a splash of my pink. I'm actually going to use a little bit of red and white for this, or sorry, red and purple. Just going to make some red. And I'm just going to mix it with a little bit of blue to give myself a little bit of a purple color. So just a little red and blue, guys, to make your purple, and you can just go around again, creating this next color. You can also purchase purple if you have that, that's fine too. And we're just going to go all the way around the outside. I've got a plate here. You could use a paint palette. Sometimes people use a glass plate where you can actually just rinse it off. And I'm going to go all the way to the outside. You can see I'm getting this rainbow look. Maybe adding a little more pink here. A little more purple at the bottom. I'm trying to get all that white covered. I don't want to see any of the white showing through. So If you're seeing like a little bit of white down here, just get it covered and add a little bit more paint. I'm going to do that up here as well. Oh, I got a little bit of white in there. That's okay. Go all the way to the corners. These corners down here. This one a little bit blue, that's okay. So I've got yellow and white heart, and then I've added a little bit of pink, a little to make it orange, and then I add a little more pink, and then I add a little bit of purple. I'm going to rinse my brush. And I'm using a large brush, and then I'm going to actually just kind of blend it in now with a clean brush. I can take a little bit of water and my brush and kind of blend in those two, blend the colors in a little bit more. Just a tiny bit of water probably works really well if you're, if your canvas is laying flat as well. Maybe up here, blend it in a little bit more. I don't want it to look like it's, stripes. I want to have this sort of the edges blended so it looks like it's all blending into those colors there. And you can use a little bit more pink if you need to. Fill it in. If you're seeing that you need more paint, go ahead and add more paint. That's okay. So now I've got nice background. Again, you can go over it again a little bit if you want. Don't be afraid to work on your background for a minute, just so it's like, you've got this nice background now to work with. You want to have it kind of like finished as much as you can, getting all those white spots filled in. Could probably do a little bit more like pink up here. Just going to get everything blended in nicely. I think I'm going to use a little more water here. There we go. That didn't take too long. You could spend a little bit more time on it if you wanted to. After our heart blending is finished for the background, the next step is we're going to add in our branches, and we're going to add in some brown branches. So we're going to use a medium brush and a small brush for that. So I usually just take my large brush and leave it in my water cup, or sometimes I just dab the paintbrush in the bottom of the water cup so all the paint comes out, and then I'll dry it on a paper towel. And as this is drying, I am looking for my next brush, which I'm going to use this medium brush here. It's just a little bit smaller. And I'm going to start to draw in my branches. I'm going to draw the thicker ones in with this, and maybe some of the tinier branches we're seeing here, the smaller ones I could use with a small brush. And I'm going to use this in brown first. You might see some different tones in the branches. So there's some dark brown and light. There's some white actually in there as well. And there's also some I've just even added like a little tint of black in there as well, just to darken some of the shadows. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my brown brush and I'm going to follow the shape. So my lines are kind of curvy. They're not exactly straight. They're not pointy. They're kind of wavy as they go up. The only thing I want to remember is that I'm going to have my two birds in the middle. So I want to be able to have space here. Like I wouldn't want to put a branch right across the middle, because then where are my birds going to sit? So I always want to keep in mind what my next step is that I'm going to be painting. So I'm kind of projecting what I'm going to paint next and making sure that I've got the next step in mind before I start to paint it. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to draw that this is just in brown, and I'm just going to follow this. If your background isn't completely dry, That's okay. You can give it a minute to dry. I'm going to actually just switch to this brush here. It's a little better. I'm going to use some brown. And I'm going to go all the way up around my heart like this. It's brown and it goes all the way up like that. I'm going to use another one coming down here. We're just going to draw almost like the heavier, thicker parts of the painting, of the branches. And then worry about adding those little, you know, the swirls and some of the leaves a little bit later. I wouldn't mind adding a little bit of black to my brown too. See the difference in the color. This brown's a little bit different than this brown. I do like the brown that has a little bit more black in it. So you could always take a little bit of black, mix it with your brown on your plate just to darken it up slightly. And then I think I'm just going to go back over here. And Coco's just sitting on my lap. And I'm just going to go like this. And all I'm going to do is at the bottom, I'm going to go across. There's a branch here, and then I've got the branch across the middle where my birds are going to sit. This one's going to go across here. And then I've got another one. Here's where my birds are going to sit. That's going to go across here. Using brown and black for this. I'm just getting quite a bit of paint on my brush too. Like, don't worry about adding paint, guys. Like, we really want to cover the canvas so you can't see any of the white or the rainbow color coming in behind. You want to have it covered up. So here you go. Adding a little more paint. I've got kind of my larger branches done. I'm going to add another branch coming along here, maybe one down here. And that looks good. And maybe one up here. So they're kind of wavy, as you can see. I'm going to get a little more black and brown mixed together here. Take your time. You can kind of put your branches wherever you like. The only thing I would think is just make sure you have one branch kind of going along the bottom section of your heart so that you have lots of room to put your birds in. And then the other one is, I'm probably just going to put one up here like this. And you could go over top of them. Add more branches if you want, guys. I've got kind of my main branches down. And the next step, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch to a small brush. So I've got a small brush here. And what I'll do is I'm going to actually take that small brush and I'm going to start to add in some of the smaller branches. Get a different brush here. Same color. And I'm just going to do the same thing, but with a small brush so I can get some of those smaller lines in. I'm going to maybe go down here. As you get the branches in, you can start to even add some of these small leaves to the branches. So there's small leaves there too. This is going to come around and I'm going to do a circle. So you can add a swirl here. Black and brown still. Well, this one kind of went like this, didn't it? So this is a great painting, you guys, if you're thinking of, you know, someone's birthday coming up, or, you know, the kids are looking for something to do. It's a great, easy painting to get together and do together. So you can start to think about maybe where you what you want to do and where you want to hang your painting. Maybe there's someone you want to give it to. Maybe just practicing. And you can watch this video as many times as you like to get the steps. And I think once you have the steps and you know, like, start with the background, then we're going to work on the next object, and then you're going to work on the next object. Once you kind of get the steps, you can start to look at different images, you know, and maybe like Google a landscape or something that is of interest to you and see how you could break it down the steps and try it on your own. And I'm going to just add a little more here, and then I'm going to add some of these leaves. The leaves are not going to be here because I need to keep my space for my birds, but the leaves are just tiny. They're just going to sit around here. I think I'll have one up here. I'm using the same color again. And there is some white dots here that are going to be on top of the branches. So that will come out. We'll do those in a little bit after everything dries. I always like to do anything that's like white or highlighting anything, kind of leave it to the end just because I want to have everything dry. I don't want my white to mix with my my brown. And I've got these colors like this. Now, the next step, what I'll do is I'm just going to go back over all of my branches. And if you can see, there's a little bit almost like a highlight of some white happening here. I'm just going to take a little bit of white on my brush. So after you've got your branches, your next step could just be to add a little bit of white to add a little bit of a highlight. So I've mixed some white and brown on my plate, and I'm just going to add a little bit of white. Just on the top, or where I think maybe if the sun is shining down, the tops of these branches may have a little bit of a highlight of a lighter color. And we're going to go up to the top. And we're going to add some, some hearts and some little white dots later. So don't worry if it's not completely finished. We're going to add those in. I'm going to just go around. I'm going to add a little more white to this. You can always mix a little bit of yellow and yellow, brown, and white together. Also gives a really good highlight color. Adding a little bit of different color to that. And go all the way up here and all the way across here. Awesome. Cool. We're getting there. I think I'm going to add a little bit more. So while you guys work on your branches, add as much or as little detail as you want. I want to have a little more light, kind of like that. It's a little bit lighter. I'm liking this, so I've added just a little more white to the top. Awesome. Great. This is great. And then as we finish up our branches, the next step we'll work on is our birds. So for some of you that have never drawn birds before, it's quite easy. It's just, we'll break it down into steps to make it really simple. And we're going to just take it step by step. And, as we go through, we just need to practice a little bit. And before you know it, you are drawing and painting your own paintings and your own birds. So this is awesome. I think I'm going to let it dry for a minute. I'm going to let those branches dry, and we're going to work on next is our birds. And the birds are two colors. So they've got the dark blue and the light blue. I've put an orange beak where you already have some, hopefully some pink or some red, and we can mix some pink and red and yellow together to make some orange for their beak. And there's a small heart there in between them. So the first step, what I'll do is I'm going to draw the shape of my bird in the blue. I've got a darker blue here, but I think I'm going to lighten it up. I've got this blue here, which is phthalo blue, and I'm going to add that with the light blue. I'm just going to make it a little bit lighter. And so I've mixed a couple blues together, and it's making this really nice bright blue. And for the birds, you know, their legs, you got to make room for their legs. So we're not going to draw their bodies sitting right on the branch. We want to give them a little space so they have some legs we can add in there. And we're going to add, they're almost like an oval shape. So we're going to make it 2 oval shapes. The tail is almost like a heart. So we're going to add like a heart tail. They've got almost like feathers on top of their head that's going to look like a heart. And then we're going to add a light blue wing once that dries. So we're just going to break it down into a few steps. And what I do is I actually added some eyes to the painting, to the birds with a marker when I was finished. So here's how I would start. And don't worry if you haven't gotten all your branches completely finished. We can always go back and touch those up later. So I'm going to draw 2 ovals. I've got one, and I've made it a little bit higher. And I've got another one because I want room for the legs. I'm using a small brush. You could probably use a small brush for this or medium brush. I'm putting them kind of close to each other, and also they're not really, they're kind of spaced out, and they're not really like straight up and down. So they're kind of like on an angle. So you could draw your, you know, the shapes on an angle because we want them quite big. This is where their face and their beak and their body is all going to be inside this oval. So we need them quite large to be able to fit the wing, the beak, and the eyes all in this shape. Sometimes you can add a little bit of water if the paints need a little bit of water to go on smoothly. So I'm just going to add a little bit more water. Make this one a little bit bigger. I mean, if you wanted to, you could add more. If you wanted, you could just add one. But it's great practice. Just going to fill that in. I'm going to add a little bit more water to just, I want this nice and smooth here. And I've got these 2 ovals. They're large enough where I can put like one of the beaks on. And I've just added enough paint so I don't see any of that yellow coming through. And the next step is we'll add in the tails. Coco's sitting here watching from my lap. So I'm going to just add one tail. It's kind of like a heart. And this other tail. It's like a heart. And I'm going to do the same with the feathers on the head. Small little heart. This side as well. Awesome. I've got the shapes. They kind of look like fish. They will be birds when we're done with them. Okay, we're going to add some brown and black together again for the legs. Small, tiny brush. You could even use a marker for this if you don't have a thin brush because you want those legs pretty slim. And I'm going to draw one leg and another leg. And then one leg and another leg like that. Awesome. And we're going to let it dry for a minute. Wash out your brush. We're going to work on the heart and then we'll come back to the bird because we just want it to dry a little bit. So I'm going to take a little bit of pink. Pink and red. And small brush, and I'm just going to draw one. Small heart in the middle. Since I've got that nice pinky color on there, I'm going to add a little bit of white. A little bit of yellow, because I want to make a beak on my bird. I'm going to use a little red and a little yellow. And I'm going to just put that here. Still needs to dry a bit, so that's okay. I'm going to let the beaks dry a little bit. We'll go back to those. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We'll let the birds dry. You've got the shape, or we'll do the beak and the wing last. We still need to go around the painting and add in hearts and dots. So we're going to add in some light pink hearts, which is going to be pink and white. Let's do that next. Switching gears, guys. Light pink and dark, light pink and white. Okay, so all I'm going to do is mix with the white, and I'm going to start to add in my hearts. So I'm using white and light pink, or white and pink. And I'm getting this really nice light color. And I'm going to do a couple more up here. Now these hearts are pretty quick. We're not taking too much time on them. They're not supposed to be, you know, just trying to make it add a little more graphic to it. Awesome. We've got our pink hearts. I just did a few around, do as many as you like or as little as you like. Heck, it's your painting. If you don't want to do them at all, that's fine too. My favorite part is I love adding like white dots to things. If you've taken any of my classes, we love that. And I'm just going to add in some white dots to my painting. Now, what I love doing with the white is actually having a lot of white paint on my brush, so that when it shows up on the painting, it's really noticeable. So I just did those dots, and then I dipped my paintbrush in the paint again, because I'm going to do more white dots. I really want them. I'm going to dip it in the paint again. And I'm going to do more white dots. I'm going to dip it in the paint again after every few dots. Awesome. Sometimes you need to find like the right brush to do dots. If they have too much of a pointy top, you might have to color them in. At times you can use the back of your paintbrush if you want to use this end and make dots, that works too. And I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3. Add some more there. Add some more there. You can put yours anywhere you like. Awesome, we're almost done with that. You can do a couple more here. So we're getting our dots in. We can actually go back, and I think I've missed like a heart. So I'm going to go back and add one. Always go back, you guys. And add them in. Good. I think we have almost got it. Awesome. I think I'm going to add a little more pink to my heart here. Even like some pink and red looks nice together. Great. We're almost done. I think I might go back. Actually, I'm just going to add a little more highlight to my tree here. That's the thing you can do here, you guys, is once you've got what you want laid out, you can always go back to it. So even as you're learning the steps now, and you might be thinking, oh, you know what, we need more time on this section. Go back, rewind this recording, watch that section again, or just take some time at the end when you're done your painting and just add some more detail to it, fix up the little corners and areas. There's no rush to have your painting completed during this session. There's always time afterwards for you to add in some more time into your painting and really fix it up a little bit more with some more detail and some more love. So that's it, guys. I think I'm going to leave it like that. And the next thing I'm thinking for us to do for the nose, just so the beak shows up, we've got a triangle beak here. We're going to just actually make the beak white first. White's a great color to use sort of between colors. So if you have a dark color and you want to put a light color on top, put white down first. So you have your dark color, then white, and then put your lighter color on and it will really pop. So that's what I'm going to do for us for this one. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to paint a white beak. It's a triangle, little upside down triangle, white beak. And I'm going to paint a wing, which is almost like a tear. It's almost like a teardrop a little bit here. It's almost like a teardrop, and it's picking up some of the blue behind, which is nice because that's the color that I wanted. So we're just using that small brush and making a teardrop there that will look like the wing. You could fill it in with a little bit of blue, light blue if you want. Awesome. Amazing. And we've got our two blue wings. We've got our white beak. We haven't put any eyes on, but let me just show you up close. There are a couple eyes here and here. They just kind of look like an upside down semicircle, so we can use those once the bird is dry. The other thing I do is see there's a little bit of a highlight here on the top of the head. So as the light's coming down, just adding a little bit of like light to the bird. You could use the same color that you've used for the wings here. So let's do that together. And I'm just going to add a little bit of white and blue. And we're going to just go like that on the top of the head. Just add a little bit of light. And as my painting dries, I'm going to be looking for a marker so that I can add in the eyes. And if you don't have a marker, that's fine. You can add in, you could use a Sharpie, a marker, or you feel free to use a small paintbrush. That's fine too. Just wanted something small enough so when I draw this on, it'll be quite tiny. So I've got my triangle beak in white, and I added my two wings in like a light blue and white. I put a little highlight on top of their head. My heart is finished. And the other thing is I'm going to add in is my eyes. So I'm going to draw that in with a marker. Now, if you wanted to, you could actually go to, there is like a lot of markers available at even just at the local dollar store, which are great for painting on canvas. Just want to make sure that your painting is what you're coloring on is dry so that you can see your marker. And I'm always going to make sure that my paint lids are on really tight as I'm finishing up. And as I am finishing up, there's two steps left. You might be guessing it. One of them is the beaks, and the other one is to sign your painting. So we always want to sign our painting. I'm going to just add a little bit of yellow and red together to make some orange. Using my tiny brush again. I'm going to fill in these beaks. Just with a little bit of orange. If you really wanted to have your painting dry quicker, you can always pull out your hair dryer and use the air from the hair dryer to like dry off certain areas, especially if you're doing like one layer and you want to add another layer on top, and you need that to dry so that you can paint over the white. You can always do that. So the only step left is for us to sign our painting, and then think about where we're going to hang it. There might be some opportunity for you guys to give it away, or you're, thinking of maybe selling it. I don't know. And I'm going to sign the bottom of my painting. I like to use a fine tip. These Sharpies are available. I think these were just at the dollar store, where one tip's really tiny. So I'm going to sign my painting. I like putting the date on the back, so you could always flip it over once it's dry and put the date on the back of the painting. And today is July 20th, 2021. So I'm going to put the date on the back of the board, so I always have it and I know what year I made it in. Amazing. So that's it, you guys. I hope you enjoyed watching this Valentine's Day painting video. Feel free to check out kimberflydesign.com for other videos, as well as if you have any questions about doing an event for your family or friends with a painting, let me know. And I hope you all having a really great day. Enjoy your painting.